this is the one. Once you get that far.
Whenever I interacted with Kaine, I was reminded about something from my past. Maybe my mind has been confusing her with my sister this whole time.
Oh, so it's starting from here.
Anyway.
This is when we save Kaine. So it's starting like halfway through the story. That's good. Kaine's dreams, discrimination. Oh no, I gotta read again. This route starts with me reading already? God. The sound of rain filled the village. The steep cliffs that surrounded the area magnified sound, causing even the slightest drizzle to rattle like a thunderstorm. Thin wisps of smoke streamed from huts as the villagers huddled in their homes and waited out the rain. A single child, however, had braved the downpour and was now wandering slowly toward the wooden, hawk-shaped weather vane at the center of town. The wanderer reached the vane, which had existed for as long as any could remember, and stared. The child's face was simultaneously delicate and fierce, like a teacup that had survived a shipwreck. Those traits combined with pale white skin to give the face an almost sexless quality. In the beak turns east, I go home. If it stays west, then I. The child blinked, rain slowly dripped down the young one's short hair and began its long descent to the ground. Come on, come on. The child felt a slight breeze and watched as the vane slowly creaked to life. Spinning this way and that for a moment, it finally settled, with the beak pointing firmly towards the east. East? Really? Before the vane could move again, a jagged rock came spinning and tumbling through the air, striking home against the child's head. The force of the blow dropped the child to the ground as the hail of stones began to fall all around. Oh no, they found me. Oh god. Yoko Taro's making me read again. A heartbreaking smile swept across the child's face as the stone continued their assault. Through the rain, the sound of multiple footsteps grew louder before a voice rang out. Yoo-hoo, Kaine! The voice belonged to Demo, worst of all the bullies in the area. Oh, this is her story. As Kaine struggled to stand, a final stone came skittering through the mud and bounced against her foot. Blood oozed from a cut above her eye and blurred her vision, but she could make out the shapes of Demo and his usual gang of idiots. The boy seemed taken aback for a moment by Kaine's seeming indifference to the blood dripping from her face, but quickly regained his bravado. What's up, freak? You like the rain? You like getting all wet, or did you finally decide to run away from home? Though she knew it was futile, Kaine turned to leave. Before she could get more than a few steps, the other children scrambled to surround her, cruelty burning in their eyes. Kaine knew those were not the only eyes on her. The tormentor's parents watched from the safety of their homes. She was attuned to the sensation. It was one she had experienced many times before. While some villagers simply turned a blind eye to the actions of their children, many encouraged it openly. In a society ruled by superstition and fear, Kaine was something to be hated and, if possible, destroyed. I didn't say you could leave, freak. Demo's words chewed at her like a worm through an apple. He can't hurt me, she lied to herself. Be strong, be brave. He can't hurt me, he can't hurt me, he can't hurt. Oh, look, a little freak's gonna cry. What's wrong? Are you sad that everyone hates you and wants you dead? Kaine prayed for the rain to flood down and carry her away from a world that seemed to have no place for her. But if there were gods, they chose to ignore her. As Demo crept ever closer, the clouds began to thin and the rain slowed. Even the weather hates me. I'm useless, a failure. I wish Demo's rock had taken off my head off. Kaine couldn't meet Demo's leering gaze. She lowered her eyes and stared at the muddy ground below. The bully moved forward until he was inches away. She could smell the scent of old meat on his breath. Ew. The boy grabbed Kaine's face with thick fingers and yanked it upwards. She tried to turn away, but he forced her gaze back and jammed his thumb in her eyelid to pry it open. Show me. No. Did you just say no? Demo grinned evilly. You don't say no to me. No one says no to me. Not even taking his attention from Kaine, he called to his cohorts, "Come on, guys, let's give the freak what she deserves." As soon as Dino finished, kicks and blows began to rain down upon Kaine. Demo paused, still grinning, as Kaine curled into a ball and tried to make the pain stop. "I don't get you, freak. What you acting like a girl for, huh? Everyone knows what you really are." Kaine ignored the question, choosing instead to stare at the weather vane. It continued to point east as if supremely confident about the future it had chosen for her. Go home? Yeah, that's a funny joke for someone with dead parents and no home to go to. "Freak," chanted the children. "Freak, freak, freak." Kaine closed her eyes and listened to the rain, waiting for the pain to start again. Guys, I promise you, this game is not a book, but Yoko Taro's a nutcase. Okay. Kaine closed her eyes and listened to the rain, waiting for the pain to start again. As the clutching hands of the village children closed around her, she bent her mind to the sound of the rain, letting it become her world entire. The rain fell, but the pain never came. Only when the laughter of her tormentors turned to terrified cries did she dare open a single blood-caked eye. Kaine was shocked to see Demo sprawled on the ground, holding his head and screaming in pain. She could see blood welling from spaces between his fat, twisted fingers. "Oh my god, he's crying! He's actually crying!" Deprived of their leader, and other children glanced back and forth between themselves as if waiting for someone to step forward and take charge. When no savior emerged, they began an uneasy shuffle away from Kaine. But the young girl was the least of their concerns. Instead, their attention was wrapped on the ancient woman standing a few feet away. After struggling for breath for a moment, she finally spoke in a voice thick with rage. "Hurts like a bitch, don't it? Now I suggest you scatter before I throw another one. And if any of you little bastards ever touch my Kaine again, I'll do far worse than throw a rock. You can count on it." The old woman crouched down and gently touched the hand Demo was using to cover the wound. Before he could think to protest, she ground her palm into the wound and twisted back and forth. "Oh shit, she's a thug." "Ow!" he screamed, leaping to his feet. "Stop it, what are you doing?" "Quit whining, ain't no one ever died from a scratch." "You hit me with a rock, you stupid bitch, a big one. That thing could have killed me." The old woman shrugged. "Death is the best cure for stupid." Demo's face twisted with rage at her words, locking his eyes with Kaine. He took a step backward and spat on the ground. "Get out, leave this village. No one wants you here, either of you." Seeing the old woman grab another stone, Demo and his companions turned tail and ran. As they fled, the woman grabbed her side and barked out a single laugh. "Ha! Look at the fat boy go. Guess he's healthy enough to run from a fight." The woman's smile faded as she turned her attention to Kaine. Kneeling down, she removed her shawl and placed it around the young girl's shoulders, then produced a cloth from the folds of her dress and began blotting at the blood on her forehead. "Oh, Kaine," she said, "why didn't you fight back? You're stronger than that lot. The words of her grandmother stung Kaine and she turned away. "Don't be nice to me," she said. "I don't deserve it. Nothing matters anymore." Her tears, held in check for so long, finally began to fall on the muddy ground below. "Everyone hates me. They think I cause bad things to happen. They think I'm a freak. I wish I was dead." As Kaine's tear turned to sobs, she felt her grandmother's hands on her shoulders. Despite her advanced age and diminutive size, she was a woman of surprising strength, and Kaine found herself unable to turn away. "Don't talk like that, girl. It's a river wide and deep that flows between the realms of this world and the next, and it grants no mercy to any that attempt the crossing. You got a duty to fight until your last breath, understand?" The old woman tightened her grip and tried to still the tremor in her voice. "You know the pain of losing someone close to you, Kaine? You know because you survived it." As the words hit home, Kaine was struck by the force of her love for the old woman. As a young child, she didn't even know of her grandmother, and when her parents died, the woman quickly accepted her as her own. Grandma, as Kaine called her, was cunning, vulgar, and quick to violence, and their first few words together had not been easy. That makes a lot of sense why Kaine is the way she is. But with each year that passed, Kaine and her grandmother had grown closer. However, it was only now, sitting in the mud with tears and blood caking her face, that Kaine truly understood the depths of her affection. Here was a woman who had seen hard times, who had seen death, who had fought through all these things and somehow emerged on the other side. If anyone could understand Kaine's pain and loneliness, it was her. Do I make you sick, Grandma?" "Course not, don't be an ass." Kaine drew her grandmother's moth-eaten shawl around her body and shuddered. "But my body is not normal." If I was normal, then Mom and Dad wouldn't. Hush, interrupted Grandma. I'll not hear another word of this nonsense. You're my granddaughter, and I love you, and if folks have a problem with that, then they can just go to hell. With that, the old woman reached out and placed a wreath of dried flowers in Kaine's hair. The skill it took to bend flowers without breaking the stems or losing a single petal was remarkable, and the beauty of it made Kaine want to cry all over again. Oh my gosh, these are lunar tears. Grandma, you made this for me? I remember the roof. She had it in her little room, the little room that was outside of the Aerie. Lunar tears are legendary flowers. Most people could live their entire lives without ever seeing one, and yet her grandmother had somehow collected a dozen or more. Kaine reached up and touched the wreath as if she couldn't believe it was real. Where do you find these? Just stumble upon them while I was doing the shopping. The old woman turned away as she spoke, leading Kaine to suspect that the search had been more difficult than she was letting on. The pains she took to construct the ornament, let alone track down the flowers using its construction, made Kaine's heart hurt. She reached up and gently adjusted the wreath, admiring the way it fell between her fingers. Didn't quite turn out right, said her grandmother as she squinted at it. These old hands have trouble with delicate work, but it sure looks good on a pretty girl like you. Kaine blushed and turned away. You think I'm pretty? Of course you are. What a fool thing to say. Thank you, Grandma. Her grandma smiled. We're gonna be fine, you and me, she said. Long as we got each other, we'll be just fine. Kaine took her grandmother's hand in hers, and the two of them struggled to their feet. As they began the long walk home, Kaine gripped the hand with all her might, as if trying to stop smoke from drifting away on the wind. The rain had stopped. Kaine stood beneath the weather vane, watching it spin in lazy circles, no longer caring about the direction it faced when it stopped. I don't need to escape. I have a home now. Grandma loves me, and that's enough, even if it's us against the world. Kaine let her gaze drift up past the vane and into the cloudy sky. The last faint hints of a rainbow were slowly fading. As she turned and headed for home, the light scattered into a million particles and vanished, seemingly taken away on the breeze. Please be done. I can't read. Kaine's dreams daily life. No, just give me a cutscene, please. No! More reading! In the distance, Kaine heard the steady sounds of an axe striking wood. The noise had a purposeful quality to it, as if she was hearing a master woodsman go about his work. The firewood being produced, however, was as far from a work of art as it could be. Pieces of every shape and size were being flung about a barren yard with wild abandon. Anyone trying to stack such wood would probably die of frustration before the job was through. Stupid piece of shit axe, Kaine's grandmother flailed away with the axe, filling the air with both splinters of wood and words that would make the most hardened sailor blush. Grandma called Kaine. That you, Kaine? Yelled the old woman, taking her eyes off the wood for a moment. Don't get too close, or I might take your goddamn foot off by mistake. She brought the axe down on a piece of wood, sending chips flying in every direction. One spun past Kaine, close enough for her to hear the whistle, at which point she decided to step back. Once she scuttled to a safe distance, she cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted, Grandma, do you need help? I can get you water or lunch, a new axe or something. The axe poised to strike another wobbly blow. Paused in midair, the old woman considered her granddaughter's offer for a moment, then smiled. Tell you what, since I'm doing such a piss-poor job of chopping, why don't you come here and take over so I can get the water? Shades have been restless lately, and I don't want you running into one of them bastards. Relinquishing the axe, her grandmother picked up a long pole with wooden buckets on either end. Gathering water was by far more difficult of the two jobs, but Kaine knew better than to complain. Once Grandma's mind was set, there was no changing it. Kaine did her best to help with chores, but Grandma took every task that required travel to the village. Though she had a long list of plausible excuses, Kaine knew the real reason. She didn't want her grandmother to be taunted and harassed by the villagers. Once Kaine moved in, Grandma decided to take up residence a good distance from the area. Out of sight, out of mind seemed to be the best policy when it came to the villagers and her granddaughter, and rare were the days when any of the two of them could be found on the rocky acre of land they called home. Kaine enjoyed the solitude, but harbored a secret resentment that her grandmother was forced to spend her golden years in such a place. After watching her grandmother leave, Kaine turned her attention to the task at hand. She had never chopped wood before in her life and soon discovered why the old woman hated the chore. Swing after swing of the axe produced only a tiny crack of the wood, and she finally managed to connect with a solid stroke. The tool embedded itself in the log and refused to budge. Frustrated, Kaine swung the axe around her head and threw it, log and all, across the yard. Damn it, ugh, crap. She suddenly understood the joy of her grandmother felt in a good curse. Happier now, she picked up the axe, forced it from the wood, and resumed chopping. She had a natural skill with the blade, but the task was challenging, and blisters soon began to form on her small pink hands. This is tough, and my logs are all weird sizes. Spitting in the palms and ignoring the pain, Kaine redoubled her efforts. Just as she was developing a rhythm, Grandma returned from the village. Setting down her buckets with a small sigh, she took one look at the logs and coughed out a wheezy laugh. Pretty clumsy, girl. You better practice if you... Her grandmother suddenly collapsed to her knees, causing one of the buckets to wobble precariously. Eyes wide, Kaine dropped the axe and ran to her grandmother's side. Grandma! The old woman shook her head and pointed a trembling finger at the bucket. Get the bucket, can't let it spill. Kaine steadied the bucket with a foot as she knelt by her grandmother. A small bit of water sloshed over the side and made a new home in the hem of her dress, but Kaine didn't notice. Grandma, what's happening? Crazed with panic, she grabbed her grandmother by the shoulders and shook. After a moment, the woman lifted her arms and batted Kaine away. Stop that, just stop, she cried, breathing heavily. It ain't like I'm dying, just tired from the trip is all. Kaine desperately wanted to believe her, but one look at the woman's old shaking hands and worn face told her more than words ever could. Her grandmother had lived a long, hard life, and it seemed the bill was finally coming due. The time when her grandmother watched over Kaine was ending sooner than either of them had feared. The positions would be reversed. The next morning, Kaine came to the side of her grandmother's bed and took her wrinkled hand. Grandma, you're sick. You need medicine. I'm going to the village. The old woman shook her head and tried to rise, but Kaine gently pushed her down. It's all right, she said. I'll be fine. Her grandmother fixed her with a gaze that could melt steel. After what seemed an eternity, she finally lowered her eyes and sighed. Well, I don't like it, goddammit, but I guess I should have quit being so stubborn and let you grow up. The old woman watched as Kaine strapped on her boots and made her way down the road to the village. Hours later, as an unseen sun made its way across the dark and rainy sky, she was still watching. Kaine moved at a brisk pace, checking her pockets every few minutes to make sure the money her grandmother gave her was still there. Every noise caused her to spin her heels, making sure she wasn't being stalked by a shade, or worse, Demo and his gang. But she encountered neither tormentors nor shades, and Kaine finally found herself at the entrance of the village. The few adults she could see glanced sideways at her, then muttered to each other behind raised hands before slinking away into the shadows. Her heart racing, Kaine took a series of rapid, shallow breaths and tried to calm herself. I have to prove myself. I have to help Grandma. I have to be strong. She chanted those words to herself over and over as she slowly made her way. Finally, her eyes settled on a rotund, older woman who was angrily waving her arms in the air and telling anyone who could listen exactly what she thought of Kaine's presence. Hey lady, said Kaine with a bravado she did not feel. Where's the apothecary? Apothecary. The woman's flabby cheeks shook in bewildered anger. How dare this thing speak to me, they seemed to say, but Kaine saw that her eyes held a different emotion, fear. Yeah, they're both scared, lady. Trust me on this one. Which way? Kaine repeated. The woman pointed at a small building to her right before hitching up her dress and stumbling off in the other direction. Kaine cringed, expecting a stone to come flying from the assembled crowd, but none came. Her mind was filled with a strange sense of pride as she made her way to the apothecary, but the new emotion had little time to take root. For as soon as she opened the door, she noticed a familiar customer at the counter. It was Demo. He had clearly been sent here from some kind of family errand because his gang of followers was nowhere to be found. Oh my go, he sputtered. I mean, what are you doing here, freak? The insult was delivered without force and Kaine happily ignored it. Stretching on tiptoes to see over the counter, she asked the shopkeeper for medication. Ha, barked Demo. The old bitch finally kneel over? Wow, what a dick. Go to hell, Demo. The boy's eyes grew so wide they seemed ready to fall out of his head, but before he could let fly a comeback or worse, a punch, the apothecary told them to knock it off before he kicked them out of the store. Demo slunk out of the shop, cursing Kaine under his breath. Once he was gone, she allowed herself to breathe once more, taking a brief tour of the shop while the owner prepared her medication. Countless tiny bottles filled the cramped store, each with a label written in some indecipherable language. An ocean of aromas assaulted her nose, creating a scent that was exotic but not altogether unpleasant. Seeing such a variety of supplies gave Kaine a sense of peace. Surely, in a world so vast, there would be a place that she could call home. This is ridiculous. On the far wall behind the counter rested a portrait of a stunning young girl. The picture had once contained bright, vibrant colors, but time had worked its cruel magic and they were beginning to fade. The beauty of the work, however, remained undiminished. Oh god. Oh, Yoko Taro, go fuck yourself. You like that picture? Kaine turned to the apothecary with a small vial of medicine in his hand. His eyes were gentle but sad, and they seemed to stare through her and into nothing as he spoke. That's my daughter. I sketched it when she was just a little girl. She's been dead for a long time now. Kaine didn't know how to respond. She just stared at the portrait and tried to come up with the right words. Pictures are wonderful things, continued the shopkeeper. They let the ones closest to you live on forever. Yeah, Nibelheimian, why do I keep having to read in this fucking game? I'm losing my voice. He shook his head slightly, then looked down at Kaine and smiled. Handing her the medicine, he reached into the sizable green apron and produced a handful of old wax crayons. You should have these. There's no one left that I wish to draw. Kaine took an instinctive step back, causing the shopkeeper's face to darken. Yes, I've heard the rumors about you, he said. It's a small village and word travels quickly. Between you and me, I'm not sure which of them to believe, but I also don't think they matter much. I know your grandmother Kali, and I think the way she was driven out of this town is just deplorable. Grandma's name is Kali, thought Kaine suddenly. She was still mulling this new fact over in her mind as she reached out and gently took the crayons of the apothecary's hands. Your grandmother is an old friend of mine, he said as Kaine scooted away yet again, and I owe her much. I wager she would like if you drew a picture of her. Yes, I think she would like that very much. Kaine murmured a quiet agreement, but inside her heart was bursting. Never before had a villager treated her with anything but complete contempt. It was a tiny, almost imperceptible step, but it was a step nonetheless, and with enough tiny steps, she might one day discover the rest of the world. When Kaine returned home, she found her grandmother asleep in her bed. Her feet were blackened and raw, even bleeding a bit in places, leading Kaine to think that she had been pacing around the room until exhaustion finally caught up with her. She placed the medicine by her grandmother's pillow and turned to leave, but found the old woman's hand clasped around her arm. Back already, are you? Asked her grandmother with a yawn. Come here, let me have a look at you. Grandma sat up and examined Kaine from head to toe, finally satisfied that nothing terrible had befallen her grandchild. She leaned back and allowed herself to relax. Well, how was it? Those bastards give you any trouble? It was kind of fun, said Kaine with a small smile. No, seriously, it was. Fun, huh? Her grandmother asked her grandmother in a voice which implied she believed anything but. Uh-huh. So anytime you need me to run an errand, just let me know. She informed her grandma that she was going to sketch her portrait. A portrait of me? Ridiculous. No one wants to stare at a wrinkled old crone. But grandma, it'll make you live forever. Horseshit, said her grandmother, throwing back the sheet from her bed. Living forever would just piss me off. Now put those crayons away and help me with dinner. But Kaine would not relent, and in the end, grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house as if posing a master artist. Kaine took up the crayons, eyed her subject carefully, and set to work. Just as her grandmother was about to nod off, Kaine finished the piece. After staring at it for a bit, she released it from her grip and let it slowly drift to the floor. It's terrible. It doesn't look like you at all. I'm sorry, Grandma. I thought these crayons would, make drawing easy or something. The old woman's eyes narrowed at her grandmother's disappointment. Let me be the judge of that, she said, ignoring the pain on her back and reaching for the paper. The sketch could have been a person's face. It also could have been a boulder, a lump of clay, or an incredibly misshapen loaf of bread, all rendered in a chaotic array of colors. The old woman stared at the picture for a long time, then slowly wheezed out a laugh. I've been going for 20 minutes reading. God damn it. What the hell? Oh, Kaine, she said between laughter, you truly are my blood. You're as clumsy as me, and I love it, but Hush, I won't hear any more bull about how ugly you think it is. It came from my heart and I'll treasure it always. True to her word. Alright, hold on, wait. For real though, I gotta stop. Can I just paraphrase for you guys? Alright, so Kaine basically wants her to take the portrait down because the grandmother keeps staring at it. Okay. Because the picture makes the grandma happy. Okay, so this is etched inside Kaine's memory. The beautiful moment of her grandmother's happiness about the portrait. She's just grateful for her grandma. Okay. Paraphrase complete. Kaine's dream separation. More fucking reading? Go fuck yourself, bro. Seriously, this game... This is not a game, it's a book. And I'm mad. Her grandma wants her to eat a bug? Oh, it's a berry. She thought it was a bug. She ate the berry. It's terrible. She didn't like it. The grandma's saying that Kaine's sassy like her. It's been 5 years since the grandmother saved her from the bullies. This is the happiest time of her life, being with her grandmother. But her grandmother's getting weak. This sounds like the Song of Death. She wants to get flagstones. Kaine wants to leave and get flagstones. So Kaine wants to redo the house so that it's stone. The reason why she wants to do that is to avoid the shades from attacking them. So the wreath that the grandmother gave Kaine is now like kind of aging, and it's like has a different kind of white, and Kaine likes the way it looks more. Grandma's talking about how beautiful Kaine's become while putting the garland on her head. Kaine can't take the compliment. So the grandmother's taking her by the ears and pulling her into the room with a crazed grin. It seems like her grandmother's losing her mind a little bit. She's just kind of like reflecting on how old her grandmother looks right now. Oh shit, the house was on fire when Kaine went to go get supplies. So she went to go run and save her grandma. She can't see anything because of smoke. It was an enormous shade. The thing she was trying to avoid. So her grandma's still alive at this point. And so Kaine goes and tries to get her from the burning house. But the freaking shade fucked it all up. Her grandmother can't really run. The shade grabbed her grandmother. The shade's laughing at her while she's trying to save her grandmother. The shade was like enjoying their suffering. She's trying to fight the shade. Imagine I would have read all of this. So I'm trying to paraphrase it for everyone. Alright, the shade killed her grandmother. Kaine's in kind of like a rage right now. Her body's like contorting in weird ways that they never had before. And she's trying to like stab the shade. When she stabbed the shade, she noticed blood. she was dying, but she wanted to kill more than anything. She wanted to kill the Shade for killing her grandmother. Finally, a cutscene! Oh my god! What? Jesus! All that was happening while she was in her... While she was in stone.
The beast approaches.
I guess
I know.
that was their way of teaching us the relationship between Kaine and her grandmother. And why her grandmother was so important to her.
Must have. How did it even survive these past 5 years?
I'm not gonna let this happen again. It dies today. My sword feels lighter.
It's not the blade, but the skill of the user. Strike it down.
Kaine's dream encounter? No more reading, please. Stop it. Stop it. This is too much. Jesus fucking Christ. Are you kidding me? God. Ugh. Ugh. God. Alright, I'm gonna paraphrase for you guys again. Fucking shit. Okay, so she couldn't kill the Shade. And she lost her left eye? And her arm was fucking by her, so her arm flung off too? Holy shit. That explains why she has all those bandages on her. Oh, so that was Demo? That was a shade of Demo, I guess? Because she's like cursing out Demo. I don't know. She's saying she doesn't want to die. She drew someone else? Somebody's trying to destroy the portrait of her grandmother? Oh my god, the sketch was of her grandmother is like in her dead form, like all like smashed up and fucked up. Oh my god, what a dick. That's the apothecary who gave her the crayons to draw her grandmother in the first place sketched her grandmother as a dead bitch. That's my paraphrasing. She wants to die again, just like she wanted to before her grandmother died. Like before her grandmother came and saved her life and gave her purpose. Oh, this is where she starts seeing like black stuff coming from her legs. Like that weird stuff that we saw her with. And it started rising up her body. So the apothecary's telling her to give Kaine her body? The apothecary wants her body? So a shade is trying to take Kaine's body. So the shade, the pattern that's on the shade is now on Kaine's arm. So the shade's trying to take over her body right now. She tries to like stab her shade part of her body with glass. So she's possessed? That's why everyone at the area was calling her a freak? So she's been a shade this whole time. So the shade is trying to convince Kaine to give the shade her body with the expectation that they'll get revenge on the bullies and also the shade that killed her grandmother. The shade's name is Tyran. And now she's threatening Tyran's life. She said, I'm gonna kill the bullies and I'm gonna kill the shade that killed my grandmother. And then I'm gonna kill you. Oh, so they're sharing the body already. And if he likes that she's so like sassy, and if she ever stops like being like that, he's gonna take over her whole body. I'm not a shade, I'm Kaine. She found the wreath that her grandmother gave her of lunar tears. Now that she has a shade inside of her, she doesn't feel like she deserves the wreath. Okay.
Alive. Stay alive. Stay alive.
Grandma.
Kaine, you gotta live. You gotta come back to us.
I think that the whole playthrough they're gonna make us read.
Oh, hey. Emil, you were the one calling me, weren't you?
You still recognize me?
Of course. I knew you right away.
Thank you, Kaine.
Welcome back, Kaine.
Wow, you grew up. So, how long has it been?
5 years.
She wants the D. Okay.
Shit. That's a long time. Any luck with Yona?
We are still no closer to finding her. We need a way to locate the Shadow Lord.
By the way, this is for you.
Is that a lunar tear?
It's not as good as your grandmother's, but I tried.
No, it's great. Thank you.
Alright. The dialogue's corny as fuck, but the music score is amazing. It is.
Waking from her long, petrified
No,
sleep.
no, no more reading. No more reading.
Neil's unflagging kindness.
Uh-huh.
Our reunion was a happy one. And we let it wash over us like rain.
Yes. No more reading, please.
That is, until Devila and Popola had to go and ruin it all. Are you kidding me? You can't be serious.
Please try to understand.
This is
People
the
are
same
tired and
dialogue as our
scared,
first
and
playthrough.
I'm sorry.
They're
This
just
is
trying to
crap, and
they're
you
trying
know
to kick them out of the village
sleep
because
outside.
people are scared of Emil.
No one's sleeping outside. You and Kaine saved this village. And now they won't.
People are afraid of us. As long as you're right,
I'm used to sleep.
But
we'll see.
Sorry.
All right, I'm just gonna skip through stuff that's the same as the first playthrough.
What is the matter?
Kaine always sleeps out. Never even occurred. Damn it.
We should...
All right. Automata's better. Oh, of course. I mean, it's a sequel. It should be better.
I didn't get much sleep that night.
But I also don't know.
For the first time in my life, I hated Devila.
I don't know where this game is going to take me because
For the first time in my
Automata
life, I
definitely
doubted Popola.
brought me through a existential crisis.
But those feelings are pointless in the end. They said and did what they did for the sake of the village. To protect it from the horror of the Shades. Really, how can I blame Devila and Popola?
At least I don't have to read though.
In the end, I'm just as bad. Because I never once stopped to think about Kaine and Emil's situation myself. I should apologize to Kaine and Emil. But what good would that even do?
I got a fire going.
Wait, is that?
Campfires are weird. I'm so happy to get to talk to you again, Kaine.
Yeah, me too.
I tried everything I could think of to save you, you know. I polished you with a special cloth. I poured warm water over you.
Wait, you poured water on me?
Yeah, but it didn't really do much except make you all shiny.
Hey, Emil. Thanks for saving me.
I guess you noticed how I look different now.
I'm sorry, Emil. I'm sorry for all of it.
Well, I mean, this new form isn't all bad, you know? At least I can look at you when we talk, right? Hey, so why don't you tell me something about yourself?
I'm not very interesting. Sorry.
Come on, I just want to know you better. Please?
Fine. This all happened when I was a kid. Before the whole shade possession thing. My body is different. And when the villagers found out about it, they started treating me like a freak. But one person, my grandmother, accepted me just as I was. No matter how bad things got. She gave me the strength to keep going.
She's really special to you, huh?
Yeah, we just read a whole book about it.
Yeah.
Oh, hey! That gives me an idea. Since we cured your petrification, we should start looking for a way to cure your possession in my body. I know we can do it if we all work together. Heck, it'll probably be super easy.
Let me guess. More warm water?
Okay, can we just forget I told you about that?
Automata was the first game that made me audibly say, what the fuck, yeah. Same. Well, there was a few other games. Death Stranding. Metal Gear Solid.
Sleep well?
Sure.
And yet your red eyes tell a different tale.
Why is he? I missed
Don't
you.
be so hard on yourself, lad.
I need to go see Devila and Popola.
Very well.
Okay, what's this?
What might that be?
It's Mom's diary.
I have not heard you speak much about your mother.
She got the black scrawl and died when I was little.
My apologies for bringing it up.
It's all right. I can barely remember her face anymore. This is the only thing I have left of her. Reading it helps remind me of when we were still a family.
I see.
But the final entries get a little strange.
In what way?
Well, here. Take a look.
Oh no, what did I do?
Say there, can you not hear me?
Is this the world of recycled vessel? Oh, cool.
Why are you
Whoa,
standing
why do I
about
look
a
like that?
self-taught ninny?
Yo.
Sorry. Felt like I was dreaming or something.
Is this his
Sitting
dad?
on one's feet is quite the talent indeed. Come now, there's the door.
Right. Let's go.
Beyond this point, you'll be unable to save until the battle's over. Okay.